Hey Minna Warriors, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate Hartley and I share a weekly video with you every Monday about something related to menopause. Today I'm going to be sharing the 6 tips with you that help me lose belly fat effectively. Now this is something that I really struggled with as I went through the perimenopause. Yes, I got the hot flushes, but first of all I just noticed that my belly started looking like a barrel. And as we go through menopause, you will find that you might get skinnier legs, your arms might get a little bit skinnier, a bit more like sort of twig-like, unless you're actively working them with strength training. But you'll find that your weight is likely to start to gather around the middle. And there are a few reasons for that. I'm going to share that today with you, why that actually happens, what goes on when we go into perimenopause and menopause and beyond, and give you tips, the 6 tips that I found made the biggest difference for keep getting rid of my belly fat, and also the ladies that I work with in my body confidence group, how we incorporate these tips in order for us all to achieve the same. We are all entirely different. We all have different resilience to stress. We all have different environmental factors, genetics, but I think it's pretty across the board to say that what you used to do to keep yourself healthy and fit probably is not working any longer, and it's a few small tweaks that are going to make a really, really big difference to you. There is nothing huge to do, which is you're going to be actually relieved when you hear this. So firstly, why does it actually happen? So as we go through menopause, our ovaries stop producing eggs, but they also stop producing the hormones. So the estrogen, the testosterone, the progesterone, that all sort of comes to a halt. Well, in a normal functioning stress-free body, what tends to happen, or what would normally happen, is that the adrenal glands would do the job of the ovaries. They back up the job of the ovaries. So because in modern day times, our adrenal glands are pretty shot. You hear of so many people in adrenal fatigue, and even if they're not in official adrenal fatigue, which basically means your body's pretty much run out of cortisol, your adrenal glands are completely kaput. A lot of us are under a large amount of stress. We are worried about our finances. We might just hate our job. We might be coping with caring for elderly parents. We might be getting through the really difficult stages of becoming an empty nester, particularly if you've been a stay-at-home mum all your life. And then what do you do once they've gone? Once they flee the nest, you struggle to find your sense of purpose in the world, and dynamics of relationships can be changing. All of a sudden there's just you and your significant other, and there's a lot of focus on both of you, and there are so many different things that can cause stress at this time of life, not to mention the fact that our bodies are going through a significant change, or that we're having to adapt to not having those levels of hormones. Now you'll hear the term estrogen dominance a lot. It doesn't mean that you've got way loads of estrogen. It just means that your progesterone levels and testosterone to a degree fall faster than your estrogen, which means that you're left being estrogen dominant. You might think, well, don't I need more estrogen? Isn't that the whole point of hormone replacement therapy? You don't need more estrogen. You want the hormones to be in balance. You don't want too much or too little of one. Progesterone also tends to be our calming hormone. So while our adrenal glands are getting even more of a battering, which means that you're probably less resilient to stress, it can have a negative impact on your sleep. It might make those mood swings even worse. It might exacerbate your hot flushes. The fact that our adrenals are tired, so we are less resilient to stress, but also the fact that progesterone is significantly lower, relatively speaking, than estrogen, also means that we haven't got that sort of, I call it the cuddle support factor. It's more of a calming factor. So there are several different things at play. As estrogen falls, our cortisol levels do rise naturally. That is just what happens, which is why I think so many of us see that weight gain coming onto our belly. As our cortisol levels rise, that also triggers insulin. Insulin is our fat storing hormone. So while you might be thinking, well, why am I not just putting weight on everywhere in that case? It's because we have 4 times the amount of cortisol receptors around our belly. And so if we've got cortisol receptors here, and our cortisol level is going up and our fat storing hormone is going up, naturally it's going to start to hold around your belly. That is one of the main reasons for that. Stress also has a very it breaks down. It's catabolic. It breaks down tissues. So you might find that you used to have strong legs and strong gluteal muscles, or muscles all over your body, in actual fact. That's why we're more prone to brittle bone disease, and why you'll see that you're probably getting more what you think is cellulite. It is probably breakdown of muscle more than cellulite. But it's true, our elastin gets worse, our collagen gets worse, unless we are actively building up muscle. And by building up muscle, we are also strengthening our bones, because the muscles, through our tendons and our ligaments. Ligaments attach bone to bone, but muscles and tendons attach muscles to bone. So while it's really important to do strength training, I'll go into that in a few more minutes. I'm going to sort of break it down into the 6 main elements that I want to talk to you about. But I just wanted you to sort of have an overall understanding of why all these things are happening. So you might find that your leg muscles, muscles around your body, your gluteals are getting less, and you're looking a bit like an apple on a pair of sticks. It's because of that catabolic effect, that breaking down effect of the rising cortisol in your body. So it's breaking down muscles around your body and your bone, but it's also creating more fat deposits around your middle. So relatively speaking, too, if you imagine if your lower section is getting smaller, naturally it's going to make your middle section look larger, even if nothing changes. But it is a fact, you do gain fat around your middle. So what can you do to help combat that belly fat gain? I've mentioned adrenal glands. So it's in our body, we have the sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is what we use an awful lot of the time. It's our autonomic nervous system, but sympathetic is the fight and flight response. It's what we trigger when we're exercising. It's what we trigger when we're stressed. It increases our heart rate. It increases our blood pressure. We're not very good at actively triggering our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation response. And the two do need to be balanced. The body's very clever. It's always trying to create balance. You'll hear people talk about the alkaline diet. It doesn't actually make your body go alkaline. It just helps your body deal with, if you eat an alkaline diet, your body's not having to work so hard to overcome the acidic diet that you might be eating. So you will always find the right balance within your body, unless you're doing something significantly wrong over a long period of time. But it's like our nervous system. We want to help our body. We want to get rid of that belly fat. And it really does start with stress management. So without it getting too scientific, focus on actively working your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your relaxation response. So what works for you? For me, exercise actually works for me, even though it's a bit of a contradiction in terms, because exercise does boost your blood pressure. It gets your heart rate going. It helps me manage stress really, really effectively. It's got me through the deepest, darkest moments of my life by having a consistent exercise regime. However, it's very important that you have the right kind of exercise regime. I'll go into that in a few more minutes. So find out what works for you. I also love time out in nature. If I'm ever really, really stressed, I will get out even in the pouring rain, and I will just go and dig in the garden. I will go and do something that's useful, that makes it look better after I've been out there. I remember when my dad was dying, he battled with multiple myeloma for 10 years, and they'd only given him 3. He had such a strong spirit, and it was getting to the end, and my marriage was breaking down at the same time, and I had 2 little ones, or I might just have had my daughter at that time. I can't remember, I might have been pregnant with my son too. And it was 11:30 at night, and it was pouring with rain. And I just felt like a pressure cooker about to explode. And I went outside and I got my trowel and I started digging in the garden, and I pruned this vine back that needed pruning. And it was crazy. If you just looked at me from the outside, you'd have thought that woman's gone absolutely mad. And it was me letting off stress and pressure. And it made me feel really so much better. It helped me sort of bring it back into control. I couldn't change what was happening around me, but it gave me it was a release of getting rid of some of those stress hormones. So find out what works best for you. For some people, meditation works really well. Yoga works really well. Listening to relaxing music. I love music. Meditation and yoga, they don't really do it for me. Journaling can work really, really well. It gets it out of your head, particularly if you journal. I highly recommend just picking up a pen or a pencil and paper and writing it down. There is something that connects the hand and the brain together to release pressure. If you're sat typing away, it does not have the same effect. It's it's a little bit like the difference between reading a book on your screen or reading a proper paper book. I do both, but I love paper books. I get so much joy out of reading a paper book, and it's that same sort of process. So find out what works best for you, and then make sure that you're allowing enough time in your day or your week in order to do a small amount of this regularly, in order to stimulate that parasympathetic response, your nervous system, which is the relaxation response. It is not a passive system. We have to activate it. You need to train it to get stronger. And it's just self-care. We are all so good at beating ourselves up and talking negatively to ourselves and literally cramming our schedules full of stuff for everyone else. And maybe if we're lucky, we get a bit of ourselves in there too. Prioritize your own health and wellness, because when you prioritize yourself, everybody around you benefits. And you were not born on this planet to be just this cork bobbing along on everybody else's ocean. Get in, row your own boat. And if people have to wait a bit, then let them bloody wait. Because if you've not managed to make time for you right now, up till this stage, now is the time that you do. Draw the line in the sand. Make a small amount of time for yourself each day for your mental health, for the balance of your hormones, for your overall health, and also to enhance those relationships around you. The second tip is making sure that your nutrition is absolutely key. That doesn't mean rubbing your halo every day. I drink 2 to 3 small glasses of red wine pretty much every night. I love a glass of red wine, and it's my balance. I know if I didn't drink my red wine, I'd be in better shape. I have got a small amount of fluff around my middle. However, I don't have so much that it knocks my confidence. I still feel in good shape. I've got good energy levels. I feel really strong. I feel really resilient. For me, and they are small glasses. It's not like your standard big glass that you get out when in restaurants. It's not about getting it 100% right all the time, but it is about an awareness that if you're making different choices, there is that sacrifice to be made. So if you can focus on whole foods rather than the packaged foods that say healthy on the front, and they are not as healthy as whole foods. Most of them have various things in them that are going to cause a chemical reaction in your body, preservatives, artificial fillers, that kind of stuff. Your body's not designed to use that stuff. It doesn't absorb it. It doesn't work well with it. So by eating that wrong kind of stuff, you're creating stress in your body, which is negatively impacting your menopause symptoms. But it will also, as it's creating stress in the body, it's going to help generate that belly fat. So it is about just being mindful of what you eat. It's about eating plenty of protein. Your needs for protein significantly increase as you go through the menopause. I have a healthy proteins guide. I'll link to it below. In fact, I'll just make a note of it now so I don't forget to do that. You're more than welcome just to download that, and that gives you sort of there's quite a few. I can't remember how many. It might be about 30 different food sources, both omnivorous and vegan, vegetarian, that you can use as healthy protein sources. But I not long ago started a really good strength training body recomposition program, and it's the first time I've given up my intermittent fasting to a degree, and I started eating a protein rich meal before my workout. And it wasn't a heavy duty meal. It was Greek yogurt with some a protein powder on top of it, and I had some milled flaxseed with it, with some berries, a little bit of dragon fruit on top. So I'm an absolute dragon fruit addict. And literally, and a few seeds, often maybe sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds. Ate that before my workout, and then had a protein-rich meal after that, and then of course lunch, and then a protein-rich snack, and then obviously protein in my evening meal as well. You need more protein, so download that free proteins guide. It will really be helpful for you. And make sure that you're eating significant magnesium sources. Magnesium is one of those that a lot of us are actually deficient things. We don't eat enough magnesium rich foods. Get a magnesium supplement. I would, a complex magnesium complex supplement. Make sure if you don't get outside often enough that you're taking a vitamin D supplement. Most of us are deficient in vitamin D if you live in northern latitudes. Make sure you're eating choline rich foods. We need more choline as we go through the menopause. Choline rich foods are things like beef liver, various mushrooms, chicken breast, fish, potatoes, legumes, milk. So there's various sources that you can eat. I tend to eat 2 eggs a day, so I'm probably getting my choline, and I love mushrooms, and I actually eat chicken pretty much every day as well. So I'm probably getting plenty of choline in my diet, but make sure that you are getting sufficient choline. It's really important for a menopausal body. Choline will help you regulate your nervous system, and it is also related to muscle memory, so it might help combat some of that brain fog. Just talking briefly about intermittent fasting, because a lot of ladies talk to me about weight gain and they are intermittent fasting. Like I say, I used to do it. I used to do 16-8 until quite recently. And I've read a lot of research on it too, because I was quite intrigued myself. And intermittent fasting, again, we're all different. So if you're doing it and it's working for you, stick with it. If you're doing it and you're finding it's not working any longer, it could be causing more stress on your body, because if you're hungry, then that is a stressor. If you're actually physically hungry, that is a stressor. And I would just try out a few different things. I found that by eating protein before my strength training workout, I have lost weight and I've built muscle. I feel, well, I couldn't actually tell you if I've lost weight. I've burnt fat. My proportions have changed. I very rarely get on the scales. I think they're a really poor indicator of success, because if you're doing a strength training program, the chances are you're going to be burning fat, which is what you want to do, but you're going to be replacing that with muscle, which of course weighs something. So before photos and your before measurements are going to be the best indicator for noticing your progress if you're actually wanting to lose weight or burn. I call it fat management. I really don't think we should be identifying ourselves with a number on the scale. It's how you feel. And do you feel healthy enough? Do you feel strong enough? Have you got energy? Can you fit in the clothes that you want to wear? If the answer is yes, then you're probably doing something right. If the answer is no, because your measurements are getting too tight, then okay, make a few changes. And we need carbs. Carbs are not the enemy. They are a very major food group. In fact, fruits and vegetables fall into the carbs category. But when we talk about carbs, I'm sort of at the moment talking about, you know, the rice, the pasta, the bread, that sort of thing. I love bread. I bake all my own bread, so I know the bread I eat is healthy, but I only eat bread at the beginning of the day if I'm eating bread. As we go through the day, our need for carbs diminishes unless you're a night shift worker. So you don't need carbs as much. And I'm a potato lover. I love chips. And yes, sometimes I have them for dinner, but largely I don't. I will just have a load of vegetables and protein. And I don't feel like I've missed out on anything. I've just found really yummy, delicious alternatives. And that works really, really well for me. And when I do have potatoes or chips, it's a real treat, and I love them even more. Number 4 is looking after your gut health. So much hormones, our mental health is affected by how our gut health is. Inflammation is increased when your gut health is off. Your energy levels are negatively affected when your gut health is off. I did a 4-week gut healing system a little while back now, and I'm lucky I have quite good skin, but I felt even fresher and brighter. And people that were on it who had psoriasis, who had acne, who had various allergies, eczema, their skin improved just pretty much miraculously in the course of 4 weeks, because of the program that allowed the gut to heal effectively. Gut health is really, really important. Not only will it help make sure things are going through properly, because you don't want constipation, because that's just stuff stuck in your body that's just causing toxins. It's an overload. It's not going to do your body any favors. But your gut health is really important. 90% of your serotonin, one of your feel-good hormones, gets created in the gut, not the brain. 50% of your dopamine, another of your feel-good hormones, gets created in the gut. Number 5 is prioritize your sleep. I think we're all so tempted, aren't we? We just like watch that Netflix program and think, oh, we'll just watch another episode, and you might even watch another episode. And then you get to bed and you're exhausted, and then you really kick yourself in the morning because you didn't sleep very well and it took you longer to go to sleep. I find watching the television in bed is an absolute no-no these days, because I just find it too stimulating. Even if it's something relaxing that I'm watching or something that I'm thoroughly enjoying, the fact that you're watching a screen is not good for you. I will not work on my computer after 8 o'clock at night these days. I normally turn it off at 6 o'clock. But if I have to do something last minute, then I will at the very real push it to 8. But it still has a negative impact on my sleep. Really prioritize your sleep, because that affects your satiety hormones too. So when you sleep badly, it it makes you feel hungrier the next day. Your brain also wants to reach for the fast carbs, so the things that are not going to benefit your body. And it also negates the hormone that tells you when you're feeling full. So, and that can have a negative impact for about 3 days after you've had a bad night's sleep. So sleep really is key. And I know it's difficult when you go through the menopause, because you might be having hot flushes, you might be getting that stress and anxiety, but all of this links to your adrenal health. So when you can sleep well, and yeah, it takes discipline, it takes boundaries, but you'll feel so much better in yourself. So while you think you might be missing out on an episode of such and such, or you've just gone to bed later, really get disciplined with yourself, because it will have such a big impact. When you're allowing yourself to sleep properly, you're also exercising that parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation response. Your body recovers during sleep. Your body burns fat when it's resting, not when you're doing the other stuff. So the more time you can increase your sleep, healthy sleep, not like lying in bed for hours just because you're thinking, oh, I should just relax. But when you're physically recovering, that is when you're burning fat. And when you sleep well, you turn white fat, which doesn't burn calories, into brown fat, which does burn calories. So sleep is incredibly important, particularly also to avoid those amyloid plaques that are associated with Alzheimer's. The brain literally flushes itself clean, and not just once. So we go through various cycles while we're sleeping. They normally it's normally about a 90-minute cycle, and then it starts again and it starts again. And we spend different depths of sleep in those cycles as they go through the night. But during each of those cycles, your brain is flushing itself clean, which is helping to prevent the buildup of those amyloid plaques. We do not want to risk those. I've mentioned it before, but everybody used to say, well, Margaret Thatcher managed on 4 hours of sleep a night. Well, she died of Alzheimer's. Sleep is absolutely fundamental to good health, and to help support you through your hormone, help to support you through your menopause, and also to help reduce belly fat. I know if I've slept badly, the next day I feel fluffy and I look fluffier around my middle. If my sleep is on really good, if I'm really good with my sleep, even if nothing else changes, my belly fat goes down. It works. Try it and see. Finally, strength training. I think strength training is an absolute no-brainer. You have to do it. It helps to keep your bones strong and flexible. It helps to keep your muscles strong, so prevents the atrophy, the breakdown, the cellulite. It helps to support your skeleton. Exercise, strength training also helps to stimulate your synovial joints. Most of our joints in our body are synovial. We need the fluid to be stimulated in order to keep them mobile. It is great for your mental health, and it releases happy hormones. You need to strength train. When you have done a good session of strength training, you burn more calories in a 24-hour period after a strength training session than you do after a heavy duty cardio session. Now, cardio, that's a tricky one as well. If you're a long distance runner, you're probably not doing yourself the best favors. Yes, you might say, but I love long distance running and I'm happy how I am. That's fine. Stick with it. But just be aware of the fact that long distance running is not going to be building up strong lean muscles. It could also be contributing to belly fat. Also, when a lot of runners tend to run the same course, same distance every day. Your body gets used to it. The beauty of doing strength training programs is that you're changing it up. I've just finished the 3-month body recomposition program. Heavy duty weight, really full on program, absolutely fantastic. And then I've just started a bar Pilates program, much lighter weights. We're using bands around our legs and ankle weights as well. The ache I had in my bum muscles and my leg muscles after starting it. And I just thought, oh, do I really want to do that? Should I just do another really heavy duty strength training program? And no, because it's really good for our muscles to have things changed up. It's good for our brain because it makes our brain work differently. But it does, different programs challenge your muscles in slightly different ways. That is really key to getting the most out of your workouts. Now, I just want to scoot back down around to the scale again, because like I said, when you're strength training, you're going to be replacing fat with muscle, which is what you want to do. It might take you a while if you're using the scales to see a drop on the scales, because if your body has been in, I'd call it like toxic overload stress. So you're making quite significant changes to what you eat. You're cutting out processed foods. You have suddenly started, or you've just newly started a strength training program. There are a couple of things. It takes your body a while to detoxify itself enough so that it starts to release fat and release weight. That can take several weeks. Sometimes you can see it straight away. A lot of time, if you're newer to healthier living, it might take 6 weeks. So the only thing I would say is do not lose hope. It will work for you. You just have to keep at it. Keep the sort of 80% cleanish eating, 20% for your treats. Also think to yourself, and I might get some kickback on this, what are your treats? I look at treats as my glass of red wine. If I look at, I know people love donuts. I don't see that as a treat. That's just me personally. It's just a chemical gunk of fat and and sugar, which is, what is the point of eating it? Why do people even make the stuff? And it's addictive to us as well. Our body is saying, yeah, eat me again, eat me again. It's doing you no favors. If you really want to improve your menopause symptoms and you want to lose fat, things like donuts are really going to bugger it up. So yeah, I know that's blunt and I know that's harsh. And if you want to eat the donut and you love the donut, just eat the bloody donut. But just be aware that there is a sacrifice when you're eating that sort of stuff, because you're stunting your progress. So I say that with love, but it is a fact. When we make a choice that is not in our favor, it is a sacrifice, because we're doing ourselves that disservice. So yeah, you don't want to get too dogmatic about it. You want to enjoy your life. You want to enjoy the food and drink that you have. You want to enjoy good sleep. You want to enjoy just a healthy, balanced life. And if donuts are a very important part of that for you, well, then enjoy your donut. But just be aware of the fact that it will have a negative impact on your long-term goals. Also, with strength training, you might get some muscle inflammation, because the whole point of strength training is that we create micro tears in the muscles. That's what makes them sore. And through those micro tears, you get the inflammation. That's a natural part of strength training. That is what is supposed to happen. And it's that rebuilding process that makes the muscles grow stronger. In the earlier days, that is likely to create a little bit of muscle soreness, but also it can create inflammation, which means that you hold on to more fluid, which might mean that you weigh heavier to begin with. So again, just be mindful of that. That's why the scale is such a poor indicator of progress. Finally, also just know that you cannot spot reduce fat. So while all the things I've shared today will help you get rid of belly fat, they will help you lose weight overall. The most important thing to remember is that if you're on the floor doing loads of abs crunches and loads of abs exercises because you're thinking, I'm just going to work these muscles even more because that will burn up more fat around my middle, it doesn't work like that. You just do a really good strength training program. Be mindful for stress management. Adaptogen herbs, I didn't actually mention adaptogen herbs with the food side of things. I take 8 daily. They help you adapt to stress. And if you can manage your stress more effectively, you are 90% of the way there in helping combat your belly fat. Yes, what you eat and drink will have an effect on belly fat, fat overall your body, but stress management is what you want to focus on predominantly in order to get rid of belly fat. So I hope that's been helpful. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do so you don't miss future episodes. If there's anything you'd like me to include in a future episode, please just send me a message. I'll add that to the list. Thank you so much for your company. And if you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I will catch you soon.